talking about today is electricity that we get from coal. All right? Coal is a black rock. Everybody say that. Coal is a black rock. And somebody has a word, so come on up. There are people who work in an industry, everybody say industry?
Industry.
Called coal mining. Right here you can see a coal miner, and he is working under the ground. He has tools. This card's a little bit too big, so I'm going to fold it a little bit because I don't want any of the other words to be covered up. Okay, so you can see this is a coal miner. He has some tools like a headlamp and a pickaxe, and he is breaking away the rock on the mountain because he's looking for a rock called coal. Coal comes from plants that grew millions of years ago, and they got covered up with dirt and water over a long period of time. Over thousands and thousands of years, when the dirt covered up these plants and water covered up these plants, it caused a lot of pressure. Everybody say pressure and show me this. Pressure. Yes. These huge plants and lots of plants got covered up with all this pressure, and they got pushed into a small amount of space until they formed this rock called coal. Nowadays, so basically there's energy from plants trapped inside of this rock called coal. Raise your hand if you can tell me, where does the energy from inside of plants come from? Because we know we can eat plants. We can eat plants like wheat or rice, right? We can eat plants, and that gives us energy. So where did that energy come from that we get from plants? Malachi?
It comes from the sun.
It comes from the sun, exactly. So that energy from the sun got trapped inside of that rock called coal. And we can use that energy from coal to help us make electricity, which is another form of energy, okay? Oh, I see somebody has the word energy. Everybody say energy.
Energy. Can I go to the bathroom?
Quickly, 2 minutes. No, one at a time.
Oh.
He goes first. 2 minutes. Oh, you have a question? I thought you both said it at the same time. Okay, you go. 2 minutes. Great, thank you. Okay, so boys and girls, the coal miners get the coal from out of the mountain, as I was saying, okay? And they put it into trucks, something that they can use to transport it where they need it, okay? The drivers transport this coal to a big building called a coal power plant. Everybody say that. Coal power plant. Okay? It also sometimes is called a refinery. Everybody say refinery.
Refinery.
Okay, what word do you have, Miss Gavan?
Power.
Power. Everybody say power. Power. Power is another word that we use to describe energy. Okay, so they're words that are similar to each other. Okay? I'm now going to tell you how they use coal to produce electricity, or how they get electricity from using coal. Okay? Connor, what's your question?
So, is it batteries like made out of like chemicals and like smashed up coal? Like tiny.
It's different kinds of chemicals. It's not smashed up coal, but that's a good question. It's actually not smashed up coal. They use different kinds of chemicals, which are acids, which are natural producers of electricity. So it's a different way of making electricity. Okay, so where do you think? Luke has the word electricity. Everybody say electricity. Electricity. Where does that go? Where do you want it? Oh, right up there at the top? Okay. Okay. So boys and girls, once they have the coal in the big building called the power plant, where they make electricity using coal, they put the coal into a giant room where they catch it on fire, okay? This room is called a furnace room, and that's not that important, but the important thing is that they burn the coal, okay? We know that the coal was made out of what?
Plants.
Plants. And just like when we burn wood in our stoves at home to get warm, raise your hand if you burn wood at home to get warm sometimes in a stove. A lot of you do. Okay, put your hands down. In like a wood stove or a fireplace.
Or a chimney.
Yeah, or a chimney. Yeah. Okay, just like when you do that, people who use coal to make electricity do the same thing with coal. Coal will burn just like wood burns. Okay, and so they get a lot of heat. Everybody say heat.
Heat.
There are pipes, water pipes made out of metal, running close to this heat, this fire where they're burning the coal. Water is flowing inside of that pipe right there. When it gets close to the heat and the fire with the coal, raise your hand if you know what happens to water when it gets really hot. Does anybody know what happens to water when it gets really hot? Salvador? What happens to water when it gets really hot? Bubbles, and then what happens when the bubbles start coming? Armelia?
Vapor comes out.
Vapor, yes, vapor or steam, yes. So the water turns from liquid form or flowing to steam or air. Then, that is the purpose of the coal, guys, to convert, everybody say convert. Convert or change water from liquid form into gas. Edwin has convert. Everybody say convert. Convert. And Trent has vapor. Everybody say vapor. Vapor. All right. The next thing that happens. Okay, where does it go? Where does convert go? What got converted, guys?
Coal. No, water.
Well, coal got converted to heat when it burned.
Water.
And water in liquid form got converted to vapor or steam. Good. So we're going to put convert right here. Okay? All right. Do you see where vapor goes? I think you can reach that. I think you can reach it right there. Can you turn it to the... There we go. That's good. Good. Okay, so the vapor is inside the metal tube. And steam, have you seen like when your mom's boiling water on the stove and if she has the lid on the pot when it starts to boil, what does the lid do? What's it do, Linda? It shakes. Raise your hand if you've seen the lid shaking on a boiling pot of water.
Yes.
Yes. You know why it's shaking? It's shaking because it wants to come off. It wants to push. It's pushing. It's causing what? Pressure. It's causing pressure and it wants to push the lid off of the pot.
Yeah, kettle. But the last time my mom.
Oh, like a tea kettle. Yes, that's why a tea kettle whistles. Good job.
It was really loud, but she was screaming like this much of water for something, and it started pushing off the lid. Then water came down.
Yeah, sometimes the water even overboils. Raise your hand if you've seen that, where the bubbles come out and they spill over the side. Yep, that's from pressure. Good. Okay, hands down. Inside the tube, the metal tube, the steam is pushing. It wants to come out, just like when the boiling water with the lid, it wants to come out of the tube. It gets up here to this place right here where it has these fan blades. Okay, this is basically fan blades. They're all stacked up in rows and rows. This part right here with the fan blades is called a turbine. Everybody say turbine.
Turbine.
What do you think would happen if this steam that's pushing really hard to get out, if it comes up to these fan blades? What is your prediction of what would happen? Isaiah, what do you think? I predict
that there would kind of be like so much steam like pushing. It would make the turbine spin.
that's exactly what happens. He said the steam will make the turbine spin, the fan blade spin, and that's exactly what happens, boys and girls. The turbine starts to spin with mechanical energy. Everybody say mechanical energy. Mechanical energy. The turbine starts to spin. Okay, so you have the word turbine. Everybody say turbine. Turbine. Boys and girls, when the turbine starts to spin, it is attached to this part right here that actually produces the actual electricity. It's attached to this part right here, and this part right here is called the generator. Everybody say generator. Generator. Okay, so before we move on, we're not quite ready for that yet. We're almost there. But not quite. I did?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, boys and girls, before we move on, we're going to pause for a second, and I want you to look at the process